Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of General Geekery. I'm Brian, and with me, as always, is JD.
Hello.
Uh, I think we don't actually have anything specific planned this time. I think we're going to talk about some customizing stuff. I had planned on unboxing the new classified torpedo, but it should have been here a couple hours ago. But FedEx is like, it's somewhere. So I don't think that's going to happen today. And then JD's got something that he's going to unbox. Uh,
Um,
but as if you haven't noticed by now, we host the General Geekery podcast on my customizing channel just so we don't have to have two YouTube accounts, which would just be an insane pain in the ass. And a couple months ago, I did a recommendation for a new brand of paint, and I am revoking that today.
uh-oh.
Yeah.
What happened?
So I got Mission Model Paint, and I really liked it. It runs superb through an airbrush. It's just the right consistency for that. Um, it goes on pretty nice as a wash when you thin it out just a little bit, and I've used a little bit on dry brushing. And the colors are fantastic. They have a wide array of colors, except the one color that I wanted to try when I went to go buy some more of it. They were out of the one color I wanted to buy.
Well, I mean, that's par for the course.
Right. So I have this color, and it was the perfect skin tone from my Mr. T custom for my A-team set. And I sprayed down the base coat and let it set for a few minutes, and then started to do a wash, and it took the paint away.
What?
Yeah, the wash just washed the paint away. So I always layer my paints. So I use primer, so a gray primer, and then I always spray like a light pink as a base coat on my skin tones, and then do a wash, and then do a skin tone over that, even on darker skin tones like Mr. T. And it took it all the way down to the pink.
Well, that's annoying.
It is, because it did. I wouldn't have been too mad if it had. I would have figured it was eaten away the paint if it had gone down to the primer, but it didn't go through my base coat of the pink.
What brand of paint is the pink color?
The pink color is Army. The base pink color is Army paint, which I really like.
So the paint that you're revoking the recommendation of
Mission models. I did
Mission Models was killed itself off without harming the Army painter
yep.
color. Okay, that's really weird.
It
That's
is
a
really
that's
weird, because if I have paint that hasn't fully cured, it'll go down to the primer, because
yeah.
the primer cures within like 5 or 10 minutes. And I assembled the figure a couple hours ago. I mean, the primer's been dry for hours, but yeah, no, it took the wash, the Army, and the wash is by Army painters too. So the wash washed this color away down to the Army paint base layer.
Well, and the problem is definitely not the Army painter wash because I use that all the time on customs. Because last year I got a whole variety pack of different washes from Army Painter, and they have never taken the paint off anything I painted.
No,
So,
and that's what I used on my Opie Winston custom for washes, was the Army painter stuff. I use a red wash and a flesh tone wash. Actually, I used that on all of the 4 Sons of Anarchy figures that I just made recently. Opie, Tig, Juice, and Chibs, and didn't have any problems on any of them. I kind of didn't get the right skin tone that I wanted on Juice, but that's all right. But yeah, it took away the skin tone off. I mean, the the mission model just dissolved. Went
That's
down to the
playing.
went down to the army paint base coat. So I did a like 2-minute tips and tricks and tutorials for this specific paint and recommended it. I am revoking that recommendation.
Man, I think that's I think that's a first. Um,
Yeah, I can't think of any paint, and I'll try anything, man. That's painting's my favorite part of customizing. It's so I will try anything. And yeah, this is the first time I've I've like tried something, been happy with it, and then like, no, this doesn't work, and revoked a recommendation on paint.
that's terrible. It's a little bit funny and yet not that funny.
It was annoying
Um,
because I had to I tried to fix it with a different color, but it wasn't the same color, and then it got the wrong skin tone, and so I had to reprimer the whole figure. Luckily,
that's annoying.
it is. Luckily, since I use an airbrush, the layers that I put on the figure are so thin that reprimering a figure doesn't lose the detail and the sculpt. But god damn it. Once that primer's cured, I don't want to have to reprimer again.
Yeah, that's yeah, you don't want to have to. Well, yeah, because that's the end of the progress. You're basically starting over without starting over.
Yep, it's like Monet reusing canvases, starting over completely.
Um, yeah, yeah, I've never seen that brand of paint. It's not available at any of the hobby shops here, and I don't do a lot of paint shopping online, but when I do, if I'm browsing, I don't think that's a brand of paint I've even ever like seen. So
I haven't seen it online either. There's a, a number of brick and mortar gaming and hobby stores here in town, and I normally go to Hobbytown USA, which I think is a chain and is in a lot of different places. And there's two of them in town. There's one up north where I live, and then there's one down south. And I don't remember what I was doing down south because the one I go to doesn't carry this. They're independently owned. But I think I was down south. I was with my mom for some reason. We were out shopping for some reason. I don't remember what the deal was, and I saw this new brand of paint, wide selection, lots of awesome colors. I'm like, I'll get a couple of it and try it. But yeah, I nope, no more.
no more of that.
Yeah.
Um, well, I part of being in the online GI Joe community that I've now been a part of in some capacity or it for more than 20 years. Um, well, a lot of it is concentrated on Facebook now, just boards. People don't really use those anymore.
Used to have
But
a board.
one of the things that I've that I've discovered in the last couple of years is that Brian and our hobby tends to go towards the action figures and specifically the action figure customizing part of our GI Joe fandom. There are a lot of fans that have a wide variety of projects that they work on. Like they show their love for GI Joe in much more varied ways. And one fan online, his name is Jason Packard. He creates these merchandise type kits of celebrating GI Joe and its in the Real American Hero line, and he sells these kits full of these different um, items. So I I found out a few weeks ago. I think it was Kirk Bazigian who posted uh, a picture of the envelope that this kit came in because I guess Jason sent Kirk a kit. So I contacted Jason to ask if I could get a kit because it celebrates the G.I. Joe Dino Hunters from the 1993 Toys R Us exclusive um, Dino Hunter set. Well, when I got the envelope, I immediately had to laugh because now there's a really cheap dinosaur that comes in that set.
It's pretty
Well,
goofy if you haven't seen it. Yeah, that's it.
and it says, "You might say I'm a small arms enthusiast
Oh, nice
with
pun.
the derpy dinosaur or the derposaurus and G.I. Joe Dino Hunters logo."
Nice.
So I'm going to open this up because I got it a few days ago and I just realized I forgot to send Jason a message to tell him that I got the set. I have no idea if he listens to this, but I will let him know that I'm doing this unboxing. So even if he doesn't listen, maybe he'll at least watch this part. But Jason, sorry if I forgot to notify you I got it, but well, I'm letting you know now. So I am going to open it from the back so I can save the envelope because
That's a
I
good.
too am now a small arms enthusiast.
I
Um,
like yeah the
yeah,
pun.
I've never thought of it in that capacity. So um, I need a new blade on my X-Acto knife there. Um,
Just
all
bought
right,
a
so
pack of 50.
what's that?
Just bought a pack of 50.
Um, well, I do have a pack of replacements. I think I just didn't realize how um, I think I didn't realize how dull it was until it took me two slices to get through the bubble envelope. Um, well, and you know how sometimes you chip the end of the X-Acto off?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened. So, and frankly, I was too lazy to get up and actually find a better blade. So,
Surprise.
um,
Surprise.
so okay. So there we go. We got the kit open. The first thing that I found was a letter in here stamped with like a wax seal
Oh wow.
of the G.I. Joe Adventure Team logo. I don't
Nice.
think you can see it on the camera, but yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's addressed to me. So, um, and falling out of the letter before I even open it is a patch that says "Live the Adventure." And
Nice.
this is directly off the box for the Dino Hunter set. Um, because one of the things in the vintage Joe line Hasbro would use as a slogan was "Live the Adventure," because i.e., you're going on these missions with the Joes. Well, they brought that back for the Dino Hunter set, and I love that there's a patch for it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Um, let's see. Open the letter up. Um, it's a letter from Jason Packard, including a photograph of him, uh, Christmas morning, 1993, where he is opening his Christmas presents, and in there is
I can't, man. You got to tuck into the camera, dude.
yeah, somewhere in this picture, he is opening the GI Joe Dino Hunter set, Christmas 1993.
Nice.
Um, so that is cool. Um, I didn't know the set existed until yojo.com.
Right.
And I discovered it in like 1998 that the set even existed. So it's cool to see that somebody in 1993 actually had the set,
Right.
and there's a picture of them with it. All right, so there's a case in here.
Right.
Um, it's got a sticker that says "anti-dinosaur," concussion device,
Nice.
which, if I'm not mistaken, I believe there's a sticker in the Dino Hunter set that goes on the Desert Fox repaint vehicle that says the same thing. Oh wow, this is a high quality plastic case. Inside the case is a piece of jungle leaf that apparently came home with me from my adventure, but
Ah,
there's a challenge coin.
cool. Wow. Nice.
This
Look at that.
is let's see, uh let's see, it's got a it's got the silhouette of the Derposaurus. It says 1993 to 2023, and it's got the names of Ambush and Lowlight
Sweet.
because they were the official Dino Hunters in the set.
Right.
But if you turn it around on the back, um, it's got Pathfinder and Tracker listed because he made customs of Pathfinder and Tracker in the same color schemes as Ambush and Lowlight. So
Okay.
they go with the set, but he's also got the Dino Hunters logo. And this challenge coin is heavy. I don't, I'm not, uh, like when it comes to real life challenge coins, like military, that stuff doesn't do it for me. But I like the same kind of counterparts for like GI Joe, and this challenge coin, this is heavy. I'm impressed. Um, but along with the challenge coin, he's got let's see, there's um yeah, there's a certificate signed by Tracker and Hawk about their mission.
Nice.
Um, yeah, let's see. I'm just gonna read this part real quick. Let's see. Summer of '93, Cobra used the same cloning process learned from captive Dr. George Massey in 1985 to replicate dinosaurs as weapons of terror. It's a cartoon reference to the Sunbow series. And it says that GI Joe mobilized to stop Cobra in its tracks with and he mentions Tracker, Lowlight, Ambush, and Pathfinder. Um, and that Sunbow episode was their primordial plot. He's got it asterisk. Um, so yeah, and then it talks about 1993 as the year of in the toy line, but yeah, like this is super cool.
Yeah. No kidding.
And then
Put a
he's
lot
got,
of effort in that.
let's see, he's got a series of his customs that he did um showcasing the set. But the coolest picture here is Tracker and Ambush have Mega Vipers
Nice.
as prisoners. Um, so I know the camera on this laptop sucks, so you can't get a good resolution of it. But I will take a picture of this and I will send it to Brian so he can drop it in when he edits it. Because honestly, these Pathfinder and Tracker customs, they're so cool and they're so well painted. They look like they could have been production.
Oh yeah. No, his customs are awesome.
Yeah, and it makes me really sad that Hasbro only ever did the one set and we never got an additional set because these customs. Now the set originally included there was a teal repaint of the Desert Fox as their Dino Hunted vehicle, but um, Jason painted a um, Locust copter in the same teal color. Um, so yeah, this is seriously cool. And then he's got some dinosaurs, including the Derposaurus. Um, but like these are high quality glossy photos. So um, honestly, I got to see what other kind of kits Jason's come up with because this is pretty cool. This is the type of collector thing that I'm glad that people think of, because I don't, my creativity doesn't go that way, but I'm sure glad somebody's did, because man, this set is cool. Um, but yeah, this
Here I was
challenge coin, I'm sitting here holding the challenge coin and getting fingerprints on it, but damn it, it's worth it. So, um,
here I was thinking I was hot shit making boxed sets. And hey, since we got it, since we're here, let me show you the box set. Let me
whoa, yes,
So I mentioned on the last step, I showed the original box set on the last episode and said that I was
yes.
going to redo it. And here it is.
God damn, that's enormous. I mean, I know you posted that picture of yourself holding the box, but trying to get that whole box and yourself on the laptop camera, that's that's funny. Um,
It came out.
that that is impressive.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic, man. They did an awesome job on this.
Um, oh, and it says there's 15 U.S. Navy SEAL customs in there instead of 4.
Yes. And then it opens.
Now, that's a high quality box.
It is.
Like, it's not flopping or anything. That's
No, not at all.
so you bought the foam and
Yeah.
cut you had to cut the shapes for the figures yourself.
Yeah.
Um,
Took me about 2 days to do the to cut the foam for all the figures.
you know, the coolest thing about this set is because you did the set years ago,
Did.
but it was sealed up
Yes.
and stuck like that. Like once all those figures were in the box and you sealed it up, you couldn't get them back out.
Oh,
This was for like so unboxing that and undoing all those stupid twist ties. Better you than me on that one, sir.
flowers. It took me
Um,
a couple hours. Yeah, no, they come right out now.
and now you can hold them, you can look at them again. So when your visitor comes this weekend, if he wants to look at them, he can.
Yep.
Um, yeah. Um, Brian's getting a surprise visitor.
Yes. So
Um,
we had talked about the message board earlier, and JD and I used to run a message board called SEAL Team 6 Customs, and one of the founding members of that was a customizer that lives in Paris, France, Julian, and we've known him probably almost 20 years.
yeah, because I was gonna say we knew him from other boards even before you started SEAL Team
Yeah,
6.
that's true.
And he's I mean he's well known in the community. I want to say I think the last name is
He runs an
pronounced
online toy
yeah.
magazine. It's in French, but he he runs an online toy magazine in France.
Um yeah, he's a great guy. I met him 6 years ago. They were visiting Western New York. Yeah, him and his wife and their son, Ulysses, they were they were visiting here. And I got to meet him in person. Brian was supposed to meet him in person at one point, but
I've
he was
met him in
deployed.
person. I when I was working as a remote duty paramedic.
Oh, that's right. You met him in
I,
France, right?
yeah, I met him because I had to go to Paris to get a visa. I think it was to go to Chad. Every time I went to Chad, I had to get a new visa. So every time um, if my visa had expired, and there was twice, so I had to stay in Paris for like a week to get a visa to go to Chad. So my company would put me up in a hotel and they dropped me off. And as soon as they left, I left and went to stay with Julian and Eve for the week. And so I've met him twice in person, and then he came to visit, but
Oh,
I got
yeah.
deployed like 2 days before he got here to Chad, oddly enough. So my wife had to entertain them for a week while they were here. And then she was a chaperone for her best friend, who takes her Latin club overseas to Italy, um, usually once a year. And the last trip they did, she went to Italy, London, and Paris. So while my wife was in Paris, she went to see Julie and Eve again. So this will be the first time that all four of us are together because
Um,
Emily's met him twice in person. I've met him twice in person, no, actually three times in person. Because I was in Paris another time that I was able to get out of the airport. So yeah, this will be the first time that all four of us are together. So it's gonna be fun. And he uh in April he texted me and said, "Hey, we're talking about coming to Colorado next summer." I'm like, "Cool, yeah, sounds great. Let's do it." And I promptly forgot about it because to me, next summer means summer of 2024. And like everybody else that speaks English. So yeah, we've got spotty internet. So kind of back to the story was Julian had texted me in April saying that they were going to be out to Colorado next summer, which to me meant 2024. And a couple of days ago, I got a text message from him and saying, "Hey, it's 12 days away, and hope you're ready for some French craziness." And I'm like, "What?" So you should have seen the panic in my wife's face. She's like, "What?"
It's not funny.
It's hilarious now.
It was funny. I mean, it's
um, so so you thought you had 370 some days to plan, but not that much.
No,
Um,
nope. 12. So yeah, we're cleaning the house and yeah.
that's
Uh,
funny.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it is now, but it wasn't at the time.
it wasn't.
I mean,
Luckily it falls right on my 4 days, off. So I mean it couldn't be any better.
although technically, if you were working for part of it, that would be par for the course, the way the visits usually go. So,
Yeah, when they come back through, so I got another part-time job, so I'll be doing my clearance rides for them when they come back.
um, the well, that'll be cool
Hang on,
because
I need to pause it here. Hang on.
No. Not being a guest on your podcast.
I'm not editing this out.
Yes, you
No,
are.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Nope.
no, he's not. Um,
No, I'm not.
um, so
So yeah,
well,
they'll be here. Alice. So yeah, they'll be here in about a week next
so
week.
that'll be cool though because while
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
there, we'll do a podcast
Yep.
it'll where I'll be the guest and him and Julian will be hosting the show. So um that's pretty cool. Oh, and I made a discovery a minute ago. There was a magnet laying face down on my desk. I didn't realize it also came with the set, but it's a glow in the dark magnet of the Night Force the Night Boomer logo.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so I tested. I'm like, oh, it glows in the dark. That's going on the fridge downstairs. Um,
Sorry, I'm yawning, but I was up all night running calls. So
so you said, um, you said FedEx has no idea. Well,
yeah,
you don't. They didn't deliver the stuff they were supposed to deliver.
let's see,
Um,
I've got the thing pulled up on my phone. So
what were you supposed to get besides torpedo?
uh uh there is an exclusive boss fight night. It's kind of reddish. I'm haven't decided if I'm going to keep that as is, or I've seen some really cool anthropomorphic like custom heads on eBay. So I saw this like really cool, I think it was a lion or a tiger, and I'm like, that would look really cool on that like armored knight.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm going to customize that or if I'm just going to leave it the way it is. an Iron Man figure, which I don't have room for.
Which Iron Man is this?
The original version 1 Iron Man. So the old
Oh,
gray.
oh, the old silver,
Yeah.
the big burly. Okay,
Yeah.
so so
First with
oh,
the,
and that's a big figure. So you have extra. Don't you have extra no room for
yeah,
it?
it's the one of the anniversary figures, like Marvel Legends anniversary figures, I think it is.
Um.
And something else, and I don't the deluxe Tusken Raider figure.
Oh, okay. Um.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, because
Oh yes, because
Brian sent me a text yesterday that said he was supposed to have Torpedo today. And I responded back, well, and I'll have Torpedo eventually. Um,
apparently I'll have Torpedo eventually too, because it's still like, oh yeah, it'll be there by the end of the day, but it's somewhere in Colorado right now.
that seems unlikely by the end of the day, but okay.
The day ain't ending.
Um, well, and I'll have Torpedo eventually because I ordered him from Amazon along with Rock and Roll, Copperhead, and
Scrap Iron?
um, yeah, but Scrap Iron I has the status hasn't changed. It's still due, I don't know, in September,
September or
October,
something, I think it
whatever.
said.
But um I um so but then I checked my email last night and it said um delivery estimate change. So I got three of those emails in a row. Um and the
I got
first
one
one
too.
was
Guess what? It's for an Iron Man figure.
a different Iron Man figure. Wow, they sure do make a lot of Iron Man
Oh man,
figures.
they do.
Um
Man, they do.
yeah, that movie that came out in 2008 did a whole lot for the viability of Iron Man and secured endless variations of him in the Marvel Legends line until the end of time. Um, but yeah, I checked my web and the email had Copperhead because originally all of the Joes I think were September 4th or September 5th, but Copperhead is now moved up to this Wednesday. Um, Rock and Roll is now moved up to this Wednesday, and the Marvel Legends Secret War set with Doctor Doom and Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel, is now moved up to Wednesday. Um, Torpedo is still listed for September 5th. Um, Scrap Iron is still listed for, I think it's October. Grunt is still listed for October. Um, and the
I
Snow
thought
Serpent
Scrap
is
Iron
still
was.
listed for December.
I thought Scrap Iron was September still.
Oh, maybe. Well, oh no, you're right. Yeah, you're right. He's still, yeah, but I think he's like September.
14th or something weird like
Yeah.
that.
So yeah, he's still listed. Yeah, so Torpedo and Scrap Iron. Maybe I'm waiting until September. I'm thinking probably not at this point.
Yeah,
But um
people are getting there. Big Bad Toy Store has it, which historically they usually don't get stuff first. Very
I
rarely
know
get stuff
I
first.
know people are getting their shipments from Pulse
Yeah.
because I've seen numerous complaints that Pulse charged everybody for whatever they had pre-ordered. And the only things that I have pre-ordered through Pulse, and I'm really glad, are uh I think it's Snow Job and Nunchuck. Yeah, they're the only ones that I have
We got
pre-ordered.
Snow Job. I might have Tunnel Rat. And of course, I'm like everybody else. I'm still waiting for my fucking Mindbender figure.
Um, but yeah, well, Snow Job is a Pulse exclusive, so not a lot of choice there. And yeah, the other one, I think Nunchuck. Yeah, he's like a fan channel exclusive, which basically means Pulse and some other online retailers. So I, but I don't. Um, I don't order from Pulse all that often. Usually I order from Amazon because well, half the time I'm on Amazon anyways. And same thing, they get them when they get them. And
Yeah,
um,
I never remembered to pre-order stuff from Amazon. Because I've been using Big Bad Toy Store since.
you know what? I don't order enough or pre-order enough from Big Bad Toy Store to justify the shipping costs because I'm not a completist. There's very little that I actually buy that I really need to get from them. I browse on Big Bad and I shop on Big Bad a lot, like window shop, but more often than not, I find that there's a lot of stuff on there, but it's got like a lot of the toys far better pictures than the other websites have. Like um and they have it's kind of impossible to shop on Amazon because if you
Yeah,
put in GI Joe classified, it does match GI Joe classified and
it's
everything else
the thing.
that's in the 6-inch scale, and some things that aren't, and some things that aren't even toys. You can't shop or browse on Amazon. If you know what you're looking for, go to Amazon and order it. If you're browsing, go to Big Bad Toy Store. Their website is not run by robots that try to sell you anything and everything under the sun,
Right.
unlike Amazon. So, um, but I never order from Big Bad mostly because if it's just a figure or two, why pay the shipping on that?
See,
Not with the way the
I
shipping
just
rate.
let stuff sit in my pile of loot, and that's what I liked about it when I was overseas. Is it's like I'm not going to be home for 2 months to a year. Just let it all sit in my pile of loot, and then I ship it, a couple of days before I fly home, and then when I get home, I got a huge pile of toys waiting for me.
Yeah,
I always
I
love that.
remember those pictures.
Yeah,
Um,
I miss that. That's one
but
of the few things I miss about working overseas is coming home to you know, a knee-high box of Big Bad Toy Store.
I just I Big Bad. I mean, don't get me. They're convenient. They get everything, but
Pretty much.
um, I don't. The last time I had anything pre-ordered from them was the Spirit, Cobra Officer, and Storm Shadow Wave, and um, I that was one of the rare times where I order a whole wave of stuff. So um, and the availability there was sooner than it was on Amazon, but that made it worth it, paying the drastic shipping costs. And it's not Big Bad's fault. It's just what it costs to ship through the post office anymore. And so a lot of times I just like the Prime free shipping, and I'm not very often in a hurry to get this stuff. So those times where Amazon is late to the party to get them or whatever, I don't usually mind. I am a little curious why Torpedo is still in September and Copperhead and Rock and Roll are right now, but whatever.
And speaking of pre-orders, that reminds me that I'd done a review on the last episode of the Hiya Toys Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes, and we had talked about the pre-order for Beachhead, and I did go back to the online retailer that I got those two figures from, and I did pre-order the Beachhead. And yesterday, I think it was, they announced Flint.
Yes. So
So
did you order him too?
wasn't up yet.
Okay. So the only one you haven't ordered is Cobra Commander
Yeah.
because fuck Cobra Commander. Um,
It's a nice looking figure. I'll give him that. It's probably the nicest like version 1 Cobra Commander that's probably ever been made. It looks fantastic. I just have no use for it.
I am not a big fan of the classified Cobra Commander design. Okay, historically, anybody watching this show knows I'm not a huge fan of Cobra Commander in general. Serpentor is my Cobra leader, and well, I really like Destro and the Baroness and Scrap Iron and Zartan and well, pretty much everybody that's not Cobra Commander. Oh,
Right.
and the Crimson Twins because they're clowns. They might be acrobats canonically, but they're clowns.
They're freaking smart.
But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the classified design for Cobra Commander. Even mine, I customized it. And that is what this Hyatt Toys version is. So, eh. But so you ordered Beachhead, and you're gonna order Flint when they. Well, so what website was it?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I'm lucky I found it as it is. Somebody posted it online. I'm like, that's who I bought it from.
Wow. So, and
Right.
just like that,
My
it was
wife
gone
took one of
again.
the dogs. Can you hear Jack howling?
Is that what that is? Well, that's funny. I thought there was some because I have the window up here open. I thought there was something. I thought there was a dog in the neighborhood or something. Why is he
Oh.
howling?
Emily took Izzy for a walk and left the other two behind.
Ah, so he's giving mom grief for. So, do you only walk one at a time or?
Yeah. So the last time my wife tried to walk all three of them, they wrapped themselves around her legs,
Oh, I remember this story. That's terrible.
hit the
Yeah,
ground, and she detached a retina.
yeah, I remember that story now. Then hey, I'm traumatized all over again by that story.
Yeah.
Cool. Um, well, that makes sense. So, is she gonna bring Izzy back and then take Jack? Or is Jack just gonna he's just gonna complain?
He's just gonna
Um,
complain. Finally shut up. And yeah, the little ones, the little red one's not. Alice isn't too happy either. She's yapping, but that's Jack howling.
that's funny.
Yeah,
I didn't realize he howled like that. That's funny.
Emily's told me that he does, and I'm not around. I've never been around when he does. So
um,
yeah, that was hilarious.
I've been to your house a couple times now, and I've never heard it. In fact, the only time really he barks is if there's somebody outside.
Yep.
So even even that's annoying. Like otherwise, like when I've been there, he doesn't make any noise.
Nope.
So
He
um
doesn't. Yeah, he's not a noisy dog at all. He'll
um
only bark if someone is coming to the house. Most of
yeah,
the
and well, Alice barks at everything.
Alice barks at wildlife. She doesn't bark at people. And Izzy will bark at anything that's any people that are in the cul-de-sac because it's her
um
cul-de-sac and everybody can fuck off is her opinion.
I agree. Um but well, no, to be specific, Alice doesn't bark at people. She barks at everything else, everything in the yard, her ball, her pool. My favorite is that video you sent me of her going to her kiddie pool and barking at the water because it's splashing her as she runs circles through and it's hysterical. Um, um, I love that dog.
She does
Um,
love that, she does love that kiddie pool.
um, but yeah, so next time we do a show, I know Julian will be on, but I'll unbox one of those. I'll probably do either Copperhead or Rock and Roll or both, maybe.
I'll
Um,
save my torpedo for that.
okay.
I did, however, I've already opened it. I did, and I have it here. I did get the Arctic bat.
Okay. Um,
I sort of did well, I don't know if that I did a review. I was gonna do a review, and I don't think that I did. So I really like the new head sculpt. I think it's fantastic. And it came with like 3 interchangeable chest plates. However, the rifle.
hey, we all got problems. It can take medication for that.
Yeah.
Um,
So I like the fact that they're using softer plastic because it won't break in 30 years, but at the same time,
it also won't hold its shape for 30 days.
Right. And so that did come with new accessories for the arms. One of them is a chainsaw, and it's supposed to plug into an adapter on the back, and it doesn't. The peg is too small for the hole, so it falls right out. And it didn't come with any of the other accessories, the interchangeable arms. So while I do dig the head and I do dig the different interchangeable chest pieces, because it did come with two different heads, I'm a little annoyed at the bent rifle, and I'm a little annoyed that the chainsaw will not stay in the backpack. It's all stuff I can fix as a customizer, but I shouldn't have to.
Um,
Also a little annoyed that it didn't come with all the interchangeable arms.
I uh the deluxe Zartan, the Master of Disguise, came with the same sniper rifle, and while it has a slightly bent barrel, it's not. It's nothing like that. That's terrible.
Yeah. So if you're
So
curious on how to fix it and you're not sure, here's your tips and tricks for today. Take a heat. I've got a hair dryer right here. Heat it up until it's super soft. Straighten it out, and then go run it under some cold water. That's how you fix it. If you're
um,
familiar with that.
I mean, I'll say this: I don't have that bat. I have the only classified bat that I have was one that I got off eBay that didn't have a head or accessories, but I bought it. I got it for $10 shipped for parts. That was the only thing I needed it for. So I have yet to get a classified bat because, well, they're bats and I don't care that much. So but I'll say this about the Arctic bat: at least they did something different. It's not just because the Crimson bat and the Python bat are both straight repaints of the first classified bat. So at least with the Arctic version, at least they did some different stuff, gave it some different pieces. That head sculpt, as weird as it looks, and I have yet to see really great pictures of it online. But it's interesting. And
Pretty much drew me to it was the head sculpt. I really like that head sculpt.
yeah,
It's
like
very
that is a
reminiscent of one of the retaliation figures.
oh yeah, the Cobra Ninja guy, right? With the
Cyber Ninja or something like that.
yeah. I mean, I'll say this. I'm not even though I haven't seen great pictures of that head, what I've seen, it does look cool. And I do think it's a different and more futuristic look for the bat. Um, I don't know if it's better, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, I would say that it's better. I would say it's different.
It does. I think they did add some kind of shoulder armor or something, and
Yeah,
that's
it
kind of
does have
cool.
some shoulder pauldrons on there too. I was
Um,
looking for the other pieces. So yeah, here's the chainsaw arm that's supposed to plug into the backpack, but it
does it
won't.
just not fit? Like, is it cut wrong?
No, it's the peg is too small. The
Ah,
hole is too big. So
ah,
it goes in
okay.
there, but it won't stay in there because the hole is too big.
Ah, that is annoying. Um,
Which is easily
um,
fixed again. If you're not sure how to fix that, you could put a little bit of super glue in there and let it dry and then put it in, or hot glue.
yeah. If you put the super glue in, make sure you let it dry all the way because what it'll do is it'll fill the hole in, it'll shrink the hole just a little bit, but make sure it's completely dry because if it's not, like even if there's just like a little micro dot that's wet, you're gonna glue the damn thing to the backpack. You don't want that.
Yep.
If you have super glue accelerator, I would recommend that.
So the
But
chest pieces that it came with one with the Cobra sigil on it.
did they paint the mechanical details underneath the chest plate?
Let me look. I don't think so. Oh yeah, I guess I did. Sorry.
All right. All right, that's cool. I was just curious.
It came with a battle damage chest plate, no logo, which is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I said. I think that would have been cool if it was translucent, but that's just me. And then it came with like body armor piece, like a the front of a body armor, which is kind of cool.
That is pretty cool. Yeah.
So I kind of like that, but at the same time, I don't like it enough to leave it on. I'm gonna leave the Cobra Sigil logo piece on.
I feel like if I bought that figure, some of those extra pieces, like the shoulder thing and the things around the legs, they'd probably end up on a different figure.
Yeah,
Probably.
honestly, I think it would be great for customs. I mean, there's definitely some really cool pieces with this. I'm glad I got it. And the other head,
You know, it is cool.
like
I'm just not.
up for the lens.
I'm not a big enough fan of the bats in general. If I'm gonna pick a favorite bat, it's gonna be version 2 from 1991. And it isn't because I mean I do like the colors. I like the neon orange with the black. I think it's a great color combination. But my biggest hang up with the original bat is see, I wasn't a big fan when I was a kid. I had one
Yeah, I
and
love
it's whatever.
I
I
love
didn't particularly like the endless number of bats that would show up in the cartoon. There's no way, even for an over the top cartoon, there should be 400 bats deployed on this one battlefield. But I will acknowledge in the cartoon they look cooler than the toy. The I didn't like the lumpy bulbous head on the original toy. And then later on, I discovered I when I was looking at it when I got a little older, I was really scrutinizing it, and it bothered me that the robot was wearing pants and a shirt with rolled up sleeves. I'm like, why the hell does the robot need pants and rolled up sleeves on his shirt? Um,
I can see that.
and then the Bat version 2 came out, and it's definitely clearly more robotic looking without you know articles of clothing on. So that's why I prefer version 2. I don't know that they'll ever do a classified version of that. And the
I don't
solution is
doing
not
that.
to take a 20. Here's what the club did for their Battle Android version 2 that they did for a convention set. They took the 25th anniversary bat head or the body and they repainted it in the version 2 colors. And they gave it a new head sculpt that looked more accurate to the design of version 2. But here's the thing with the 25th anniversary bat. It still had pants and rolled up sleeves on its shirt. So recoloring pants and shirt bat in version 2 colors to pretend it's version 2 accomplishes nothing but looking stupid. So
I
if
like
Hasbro's
I love the bat. I've got I don't have a vintage version 1, I don't have a vintage version 2, but I've got most of the rest. I don't have the convention ones either, but
I mean, and I get it. I know I know I'm in the minority. Most people do like the bats. Most people like having robot minions for them to fight. And I like having robot minions for my shows to fight. But it's just a little over the top. But I don't know that they'll ever do a classified version of
if they do,
of
it'll have pants and rolled up sleeves.
yeah, it probably will, and that's stupid. So but if I was gonna buy any of the current bats, I'm not, except for that one that I bought off eBay. But see there, the pants helped because it's working for a custom. But I bought it because it was cheap and I was gonna use the robot arm for something that I didn't end up using making the character. So um but if I was gonna buy one, it probably would be the Arctic bat, but because I saw the Crimson bat at the stores here. There were a couple of them, and I'm just like, man, I'll leave it. I'm like, other people will buy this. I don't need to.
Yeah, the only thing that I wish that and it's like I know it's a big wish that they done with the Crimson Bat is do it in translucent red for the fire bat to
Ooh, the Inferno bat
Mhm.
from um that Malloway set in 2003,
I've
where they
got
took the
I've
bat
got one
version
or two of
too.
those and they're cool figures.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they took the whole figure and they cast it in translucent red with, I want to say, I think silver and black highlights, and they basically made it so it's like a walking time bomb. And holy shit, that was cool. But Brian and I both have a weakness for translucent plastic figures, so I if they do a translucent
Yeah.
classified bat, even if it's not a red Inferno bat, or even if it's just supposed to be like invisible camo, I will buy it.
I wouldn't be surprised to see them do it because one of the announcements that a couple of the announcements we've seen is that they're going to do the next GI Joe movie is going to be crossover with Transformers, and one of the classified figures that they've announced is an original character, never had a figure before, and it's called Mole Rat. And apparently, the story behind that particular character or army builder figure, I think it's an army builder, is that
It
they're
is.
mining energon, and it's got like this chunk of energon wedged in its head, which I totally dig. I'm a huge Transformer GI Joe crossover fan. I mean, I've got my Seekers customs right here in the back, and I've done several customs, so I will pick up that more at it. But
Um,
I wouldn't be surprised to see them do something like a translucent bat that's like that, except it's glowing from the energon. So like
whoa,
so
that'd
like
be
a
awesome. Um,
translucent purple. I
that
think,
would be awesome.
yeah,
Um, yeah, because for anybody who's not aware, what Brian's alluding to is at the end of Transformers Rise of the Robots, which I just saw. I just went to the theater last week to see it. Um, at the end of it, the main character from the movie, there's like a man in black, kind of like a agent of some sort there, and he talks to the kid, and he gives him a business card that's got the GI Joe logo on it, and it says GI Joe, and he turns it over and it's got the name of the agent. He's not an established character; he's new for the movie.
okay,
But they basically, the implication there is that this agent is like the liaison between GI Joe, and so they're kind of offering a gig because in the movie he's a veteran, like he's out of the military, but he served, and um but because of his heroics in this movie, it gets the attention of secret covert operations groups, and they offer him a gig, and so he reads the card. He's like, "Oh, GI Joe." So like they said, it wasn't subtle at all.
gotcha.
I am really hoping that it happens, that the next Transformers movie or the next that it is a crossover. The the cynical part of me wants to say I'll believe it when it's actually in production, and when there's a casting out and you can see that they're actually making it. There's been a few false starts with GI Joe movies since the Rise of Cobra. Okay, Retaliation and the Snake Eyes movie, they're not good, but I don't count them as false starts.
No,
Unsuccessful starts, but not, I mean, they happen. But this, like all the Transformers movie, it like all the Transformers, it made a bunch of money. And they did reference the Bumblebee movie in this movie.
I wonder whatever happened to that, because they seemed like they were gonna kind of reboot the franchise. Nothing ever came of it.
um, no, but um, that tends to be the fan favorite of the Transformers movies because the first 5 movies or the Bayformers movies, I don't know. Traditionalists don't like it. I can understand why. I love those movies.
Oh, let me get
Bumblebee was
something
the
real
only
quick.
one I didn't see in a
Let me get
movie
hang on.
theater.
Let me get something real quick before I forget.
Yeah. Oh, hey, look at that.
I picture of myself and Ron Perlman with 2 of my customs.
And are you gonna put it in a frame?
Yeah, eventually.
That's awesome. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. The I'm a I love the Transformers movies, but I'm not a traditionalist with Transformers. I'll give
You
all
can't be
aspects
a
of the franchise.
you can't like the Transformers movies and be a traditionalist, I don't think.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Those are mutually.
I've never, at no point would I have ever considered myself a traditionalist fan for Transformers. I tend to like some of the characters, but it's some of the most vocal critics of the Michael Bay Transformers movies seem to bitch about it because it doesn't bear any resemblance to Generation 1, but some of those same people that have been Transformers fans for 30 years, it isn't like Transformers hasn't been rebooted before or
Oh my
gotten a
God.
relaunch before, or
No, it's
some of those
crazy.
characters, huh?
It's crazy. I think we did a audio podcast on the different reboots that
Yeah, we did. Because we
we
had
talked about.
Benson Yee on as our guest,
Yeah.
because he runs a Transformers review blog. But there's been many iterations of Transformers, and the Michael Bay movies are just one more iteration. But I did not see Bumblebee in the theater, but that is because they released it at Christmas time, and that is a terrible time to release movies because it's busy, and I'm never going to get to the theater to see a Christmas movie. So,
And Emily and I went to go see it in the theater.
I wanted to, but yeah, it's one of those things where if you release it after Thanksgiving or in December, things are going to keep coming up, and I'm not going to get to the theater to see it. But so I saw Bumblebee later, and I mean, I loved it. It's great, but I like all the Transform. No, I like the first 4 Transformers movies and Bumblebee, and now Rise of the Beasts. Transformers: The Last Night, terrible, terrible movie.
Didn't see that one.
Don't. Not that you were going to, but terrible movie.
Now I gotta see it.
Okay, remember what happened with the Star Wars Holiday Special? No, this will be a repeat of that.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were gonna mention that.
Um, as much as as much as I don't mind the non-existent plots and the over-the-top action of and that it's really hard to see what's going on of the Bayformers movies. At least they had plots that followed all the way through the movie. Might not have been great plots, but they started here and they ended up here and they kept the storyline all the way through.
Yes.
The Last Night, the 5th Transformers movie, took like what felt like 12 different plot lines and story ideas and crunched them all together into one movie. And it's terrible. There's characters that they forget about and never come back or don't come back till much later. There's plot lines that are dropped and picked up again later. It's 2 Transformers movies that they tried to make into one. and it was like too drastically different. Not like a part one and part two.
Right.
No, it was like a fifth and sixth movie that they decided to shove all the way into the fifth movie, and they ruined it. So it was not a good movie, and everybody in that movie should feel bad.
Was that the one that
For
Mark Wahlberg was in?
he did two of them. That was his second one,
Okay.
and the fourth one,
I don't think I saw
which
the
was
fourth.
the fourth one, which was the age of extinction,
Yeah, I
where
didn't.
they introduced the Dinobots. That was his first movie, and while of the Bayformers movies, I'm not a big fan. I really like the first trilogy more. It it had its merits, and all those merits were shot to hell and thrown out the window for Transformers 5. Bumblebee brings it all back into brings it all into like a sensible collection of a watchable movie. Like
Yeah.
and then this movie very much follows the idea. It's tight plotting, only a few Transformers characters, not a lot to keep track of. You can actually see what's going on for most of it. There are a few things about it that definitely have Michael Bay's fingerprints on it. Like he definitely produces the movie, and you can tell. But it's much more sane than the actual Michael Bay directed movies, and I recommend it. But I really hope,
And didn't Ron Perlman do one of the voices? Didn't he do the
yeah, he does Optimus Primal's voice.
Yeah.
Um, um, yeah, Michelle Yeoh does Air Razor's voice. And um, yeah, I mean, of course, Peter Cullen does Optimus Prime's voice, but and the radio does Bumblebee's voice, just like since the first Transformers movie. They introduce a couple of other characters. Um, like most of those movies, the villains, they're what's the word? Disposable. They're off by the end of the movie, so they don't really matter. Um, but like this one brings in Unicron, which um, which was cool because they hinted at it in that fifth terrible movie, but they hinted at a lot of things that became nothing in that movie. So, but at the end of it, yeah, they do a GI Joe thing, and honestly, I would really like to see what they would do with that. Would it be faithful to the comics? No, it wouldn't. But
The
I
comic.
wish people would stop getting hung up on that, because the fact is, if they make a GI Joe movie that's faithful to the original Marvel comics or the original toy line, you're going to have 900 characters, 300 plots, and it's not really going to work. And it's going to focus on Snake Eyes, which is fine. But the last time they focused G.I. Joe movie on Snake Eyes, didn't work out that well. So they just need to make a coherent movie for G.I. Joe, which they did a little bit for the first two Joe movies, a little bit. Um, but then the second one came along and got terrible dialogue. Well, the first one does too, but the first one's a stupid movie that knows it's a stupid movie, and it relishes in being a stupid movie. Retaliation came along and is a stupid movie, but it takes itself too seriously and doesn't celebrate that it's a stupid movie. Um, and then, well, there's words for Snake Eyes, but you can go find the podcast I did with Ryan Costello last year where we talked about that. I have never rewatched that movie because I am afraid that the positive things that I found about it last year, I'm afraid that they will no longer be there if I try to rewatch it.
And so what I will be wondering, if they do that, what will the toy line look like? Will it be six
Well,
classified figures? Obviously, the Transformers will be in whatever scale they decide to put out, whether it's voice
um,
box or whatever. But what will the GI Joe figures be? Will they be 4 inches or will they be 6 inches?
I mean, no doubts that there will be some classified releases because at that point, we don't know. I mean, this movie has no date. There's no announcement of it. It's a it's a tease for a plot, but in the movie. So, but it's possible that classified will still be around, still be successful. It'll probably do some of it.
Yeah, I would
And
think so.
I would imagine that they probably do some more crossover sets like they've been doing for the toy line. Maybe, they'd be more movie specific and characters, but specific, but I will be curious.
I don't know that we had talked about the latest 4 inch Transformer GI Joe. Uh,
I don't think Soundwave. I don't think we did actually.
yeah. So Soundwave as the Thunder Machine. It comes with Zartan and Zarana, and where is Xandar?
That is always the question. Where is Xantar? When Zarana
If I had
got a version 2 figure in 2003 or in 2004 for Valor vs. Venom, where was Xandar? When the convention set came out, the whatever through the Everglades with the O-ring dreadnoughts, where was Xandar? Because the mold was available. India had it because they made a Xandar figure, but he wasn't in that set, was he? No, he wasn't. Xandar didn't get a version 2 figure until 2011 when the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive 7-pack of Dreadnoks came out.
Mm,
And, but
I thought he had one before that. In the
nope,
Joe versus Cobra line.
nope. Zarana got an update, and Zartan got like 7 updates in the Joe versus Cobra line, but no Xandar. Ripper and Torch both got updates in the new Sculpt line. Buzzer didn't, which was strange. But
Got a you're going to get like a DTC figure.
um, Monkey Wrench got a DTC figure.
Gosh,
And then there was a new Dreadnought that came out those years named Burnout, who got a version 2 in the Big Bad 7 in the Big Bad Toy Store 7-pack. But Xandar has had 2 official releases from Hasbro. And that's it. And he's not in the crossover set. He never got a 12-inch figure. Zarana has 3 times the number of official releases that Xandar does.
Gosh, I could have sworn there was one in the Joe versus Cobra line, but no, there isn't.
There's a line on Xandar's file card that says he's the sibling that was always forgotten about. That happened in the Real American Hero comic. Larry Hama wrote. Xandar was there for a little bit. Him and Zarana's first appearance was the same issue, and he's there a couple of times, and then he's just gone. While Zarana becomes a major character. He was in the Devil's Due run, but they didn't do that much with him. They did more with him there than they did in the Marvel run, but that isn't saying much. And Xandar was supposed to be posing as the Secret Service agent in G.I. Joe Retaliation when Zartan is playing as the president. There's a bald character who's posing as secret. I think he's a Secret Service agent. That was supposed to be Xandar. He's named Xandar in the credits. But other than his name, there's no conceivable connection to Xandar other than he's working for Zartan. So technically, Xandar does have a movie representation.
Forgot about that.
Xandar did show up in the animated G.I. Joe movie, voiced by Peter Cullen, as he was on the cartoon. But Xandar, he was a smaller part on the cartoon. More often than not, he was there, but he didn't have any lines, which is fine because more often than not, there were a lot of characters in the Sunbow cartoon that would show up, hang around in the background, not saying anything. And it's not a criticism. But so this set has Soundwave as a Thunder Machine, and it's got Zartan, who's an updated version 1, and Zarana, who's an updated version 1. Although they both have new upper arm sculpts for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting choice. I don't hate it by any stretch of the imagination, and I've got his tank and the Ostriker so far, and I really love that Ostriker. People are bitching about it, but I think it's fantastic. I did a review on both of them, so
I watched both of them, and because I don't have either of them,
and I did pre-order the Thunder Machine.
I didn't buy those, but it wasn't because I didn't want them or anything against them. I've only got so much money, and I have to prioritize. And for some reason, vehicles are always they've always been secondary to me. So if it comes down to new classifieds or a vehicle, probably gonna buy the classified stuff. Although I wanted the Megatron his tank because it's a his tank, but the price.
You can get one of those.
Yeah, it was honestly it was because of it was the price that stopped me in the first place. I'm not the biggest Megatron fan. My favorite version of Megatron is version 2 from G2, which that's one of the newest releases of it. But when I saw the final pictures of like when people started getting them, including your review, Megatron and his tank looked great. That Baroness figure was awful. Um, and the Bumblebee and Stalker set, it's really cool. And honestly, I want both of them, but I have to prioritize. And I want Soundwave too, and not just because of Zartan, because trivia, I've never owned a Dreadnought Thunder Machine. I didn't have one when I was a kid.
All right.
I didn't have the Thunder Machine, nor did I have the repaint of it they did for Street Fighter called the Beast Blaster. I didn't have that one either. So if at some point I get Soundwave as the Thunder Machine with the two, that will be the first time I own a Thunder Machine. But
same here.
I like that it comes with 2 figures. I like that it comes with Zartan, who's my favorite bad guy ever. I could ignore, like, I don't get hung up on which character should be which Transformer. It's whatever. My biggest issue with it is that we got Soundwave as a DTC hiss in the San Diego Comic-Con sets. So I don't think we needed Soundwave as a Thunder Machine too.
Shockwave, dude.
Huh?
Oh, Shockwave.
No. We had Shockwave as a retaliation hiss, and we had Soundwave as a DTC hiss.
Yeah.
In the same set that had Power Glide. The Rattler Power Glide, I think. I
completely forgot about that. I have that set.
Yeah. So
I never opened that set.
Yeah, and I've only got Soundwave as the Hiss tank because it's a Hiss tank and I bought it off eBay by itself. But I kind of wish they'd found a different character simply because Soundwave has already been a Cobra vehicle.
Yeah.
I have the same hang up, and in the Michael Bay Transformers movies. In the second movie, Soundwave is a communication satellite in space. And then in Dark of the Moon, the third movie, Soundwave is on Earth posing as the sports car that Patrick Dempsey drives because he calls him, he's like, "Stop it, Soundwave." And I'm like, he was a communication satellite. Why is he Patrick Dempsey's fucking car in this movie? So he was already in the first. So it's like the toy line repeats it. He's a his tank, and then he's a thunder machine. Find somebody else to make the thunder machine. It's not a character choice thing. It's just a stop giving all the glory to Soundwave, who's great, but there's other Decepticons that deserve a chance to. And then somebody said that Motor Master should have been the Thunder Machine. I get why he's not, because these crossover sets seem to be going for like the big gun characters.
Yeah.
And I don't know that Motor Master fits that.
Well, Motor
But-
Master is part of a gestalt. So I mean to have Motor Master and not have the rest of the Stunticons doesn't make sense either.
No, that's true. So all right, there's two marks against it. But honestly, I think part of it is just there's
One of the recommendations that I saw for it, which I kind of like, I think it's a bit esoteric, is they said it should have been Wreck-Gar.
Wreck-Gar's an Autobot. So but that's my hang up. Wreck-Gar is an Autobot. The Thunder Machine is very clearly not an Autobot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean,
Wreck-Gar
I mean, it doesn't
does not make.
So yeah, none of it makes sense. You know,
Yeah, but
I think that
but-
just the fact that they picked the Thunder Machine as the vehicle, irregardless of what Transformer they mashed into it, I think it was just a weird choice to begin with for the G.I. Joe part of it.
I mean, yeah, actually, I hadn't given that any thought, but you're right. Kind of is a weird choice. But
I mean, I would have gone, a Vamp for Hound or Desert Fox.
well,
Something, I don't know, but and I'm not saying I don't like it, because I do like it. I think it looks pretty cool and I'm looking forward to getting it, but I just think it's a weird choice.
I get it because from a marketing perspective, you get a Cobra Decepticon and you get a G.I. Joe Autobot. While the Dreadnoks are still active in the toy line, so maybe you want them represented with the O-ring collection, and I kind of understand that, but I just feel like
So like a separate faction, basically.
yeah, I think that's what it is I think they wanted.
Uh-oh, there goes our internet again. Sorry, our internet keeps crapping out on us. So we were talking about how different factions, and as an aside on that, I think a Destro Iron Grenadier Transformer crossover would be pretty cool.
I'm really, I feel like I'm patiently waiting, very patiently waiting for the Iron Grenadiers to be introduced in the classified. And by patient, I mean, oh my God, hurry up. Because we didn't have the whole Iron Grenadier fraction, but the Iron Grenadier troopers were in the Joe versus Cobra line, or the spy troops. And there was an Iron Grenadier trooper in the
Pursuit of Cobra.
no, yeah, there was Pursuit of Cobra and Sigma 6. But we're still waiting on classified to bring the Iron Grenadiers in. But and again, even if it's not the whole faction,
I think that's just a matter of time.
I think it is too. I have no doubts that it is. I am pretty sure within the next year or two, we will probably see a classified Iron Grenadier Trooper.
And a
They're
version.
probably working on one. It might be in the pipeline, even if it's not anywhere near production. I have to imagine that the Iron Grenadier is up there with uh, characters like Jinx and um, 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 Wild Weasel that we still haven't seen anything from. Um, um, I yeah, I'm shocked that Jinx hasn't been announced. I thought for sure she would have been. But I have I have a feeling that the Iron Grenadiers and Night Vipers are probably somewhere in their plans. They just aren't far enough along to talk about it yet. I choose to believe that they are. So
Yeah.
I do wish that the Iron Grenadiers could get a representation in the Transformers crossover line.
I don't see it happening though. From
I
what I
don't either.
see is this is going to be the last one of those sets.
Maybe right now, but even though they,
really good about getting back to things.
yeah, but
here's
the one thing. Here's the one thing that makes me think that even if the Thunder Machine release is that it might not be the last one. It might be the last one for a little while. But how do you do a new line of Transformers, which technically this is? You do Megatron, you do Bumblebee, and you do Soundwave. Who's missing from that lineup?
This Prime.
Right. How do you it's a new Transformers line, so there's no Optimus Prime. So if nothing,
Snake Eyes in a line.
Well, I mean, the next release will probably have Snake Eyes driving Optimus Prime.
Probably.
But it's just weird because
there wasn't an Optimus Prime in any of the other G.I. Joe classifier Transformer crossovers either. The only Autobot they had was Jetfire and Hound and Powerglide.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. Hound was the 25th Vamp, right? And then Powerglide was, he was the Red Rattler. And then
Fire was a Sky Striker.
Oh, that's right, because he had the Robotech boosters on the. That's right. Oh yeah, you're right. Optimus Prime wasn't in that line either. All right, so all right, that does punch a hole in my theory that might not be the last one. I forgot Prime was nowhere.
Hasbro is horrible about getting back to things. They never get back to anything. Once they've dropped something, they never get back to it.
That's true.
If you can name me one time when they've gotten back to something, I will concede that point. But they haven't.
Nope.
Yeah. I mean, every time they've done something, I mean, one of the big ones that comes to mind was the Matt Tracker in the 25th anniversary line. That went nowhere. I mean, I know you're not the biggest Mask fan, but man, yeah, there are a shit ton of people that thought, hey, man, they're finally making 1/18 scale Mask figures, and we're just ecstatic, and that was it. Well, okay, I take that back. They did have one, but it was still Matt Tracker. It was just the one from the IDW comic book in a Comic-Con exclusive set. So, I mean, he did get two figures, but it's the same figure. It's different.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. Yeah, right. They're both Matt. Yeah, because Miles Mayhem never got. I I really expected.
I expected a full wave.
I expected that the club, as one of their figure subscription
Yeah.
services, I thought for sure that even if he wasn't Miles Mayhem or whatever, like even if he was just like even if it was a licensing thing, I thought for sure that they would come out with a new military character in a blue suit that had a similar, and they didn't, and I'm surprised. Um yeah, they didn't, and they didn't bring out any other characters. And that Matt Tracker figure, the first one, had his mask from the like like his whole helmet, like that was accurate. And then same thing, the San Diego Comic Con IDW version, while also being Matt Tracker, is definitely a different character, but same thing. He had his helmet from the comic, and that's it. Like so, that's all. That's all the modern master's been, which is kind of weird.
It is.
Um,
I think that I think that would have sold like crazy. And then everybody was the figures would have been cool, but then everybody was hoping for vehicles in that scale too. And I would have thrown down for every last one of those.
and I would have skipped every last one of them. But I don't. Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah,
Um,
no, but that's my whole point is that Hasbro does these things. They come up with these unique ideas. They do something cool with it, and then it's like, oh, look what my other hand is doing, and just completely forget about what this hand's doing, and then it's gone. Poof.
like the Plague versus Steel Brigade.
Yeah.
According to the file cards, I think, or yeah, well, or maybe it was the comic. There were 9 Plague members: Guillotine, Gallows, and
I don't
what was
remember
the third guy's name? Grimskull.
Grimskull, that's right.
Grimskull. It's a stupid name. Grimskull. It's yeah, they were what? A former Saw Viper, a former Sand Viper, and a former Eel, and that was it. They never filled out the rest of it. The Image Comics did. They filled out the rest of the Plague. And really, what they did was they took a lot of disparate Cobras that they'd never really done much with, or troop classes, and
Yeah.
gave, um, but they never, but they didn't get toys. And huh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, they don't. I mean, they revive concepts and they bring them back later, but
Not the same. That's not the same thing, though.
no, that's what I'm saying. No, you're right. I mean, they, in terms of, they go back to tried and true winners, but
Yes.
you're right. When they start to, yeah, they don't do anything with it. So all right, so Soundwave is the Thunder Machine. It will be the last one. I don't know. Um,
The retro line is the 4-inch retro line is a good example of that. Yeah, I don't think we're ever gonna. I don't think they're ever gonna go back to that. I think
yeah,
that
because what they say, it's on hold right now.
no, it's not. It's what they said. It's not
Yeah,
on.
that's what I mean. On hold.
Hitting that the left hand was working on that while they're looking at what the right hand's working on right now.
Yeah, whenever whenever Hasbro uses the word on hold or hiatus, the Sigma 6 line went on hiatus. No, not the Sigma. The um the the DTC line was the last of the new sculpts, but they said that the 4-inch line was going on hiatus or the 3 3/4 was going on hiatus to make room for Sigma 6. And the next time they went back to that scale, they were actually 4-inch figures, and they were the 25th anniversary versions, and that was it. They never went back to the O-ring stuff, except for one weird set. It was released as a tie-in to the G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra movie that had a modern snow job and their stupid little ski mobile alongside
Yeah, I forgot about that.
a vintage, like a recast, like a brand new vintage snow job
Yeah.
with the vintage Polar Battle Bear.
Yeah,
And I bought that set.
I never picked that up because
I bought it.
I didn't even know those were O-ring figures until you told me.
Yeah. I mean, I bought it because I
Yeah,
wanted
before,
that
I was
O-ring
like,
snow job. But that half of the set, Polar Battle Bear and O-ring snow job, those were the winners. And then that 25th version of snow job got a repaint. And whatever that little ski mobile was, I have it. I don't care. I've never given it the time of day. There were supposed to be a follow-up to that, because they were supposed to do like Duke and Destro, somebody else, because they were gonna do a 2-packs where it was gonna be a repaint vintage Destro and a repaint vintage Duke, and it was gonna be like a classic and now, where it was gonna another Rise of Cobra thing. It would have had like a movie Destro and a movie Duke packed alongside a new repaint for each of them from the Real American Hero line. But for whatever reason, that never happened. And I want to say I think Cobra Commander was included there too, maybe. But
I don't
the Duke and Destro figures, the prototype, the images of the prototypes I've seen left a lot to be desired. And by that I mean, well, they weren't good, and so not really a big loss, because all they were was because they were due out in 2010, but they were both repaints of Comic Pack Duke and Comic Pack Destro straight up from the 2005 DTC line. So they weren't proper vintage updates, which is okay, but they were going to be the Comic Pack Duke with the new Duke head sculpt and Destro more in their classic colors. But I don't know why those sets didn't happen, but I don't, but yeah, because unlike those figures, which were in the Marvel comic type color schemes, they would have been more vintage, but it wouldn't have accomplished anything. Oh, I think Snake Eyes was the other set. Of course he was.
Yeah,
So
well,
would have been a Rise of Cobra Snake Eyes alongside. Well, it would have wound up being a version 1 Snake Eyes. Because even in the retro O-ring line that Hasbro has apparently put on hold, the box art has Snake Eyes version 2, but inside there's a Snake Eyes version 1. And it wasn't the mold availability, because all the reviews and all the pictures I've ever seen of that Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow retro O-ring set, they're both brand new sculpts. They're not they're reconstructed. They're not even recasts. They're completely recreated molds, because there's enough differences to see where they're very clearly not
the originals.
Yeah. So that wasn't it. They could have just taken version 2 Snake and done the same thing, but they didn't. For whatever reason, they decided to do version 1 again. So the card art doesn't match. So, in my opinion, straight out of the gate, they dropped the ball on that one. And then they followed that up with a retro O-ring 2-pack of a Cobra Officer and a Cobra Trooper, which would have been fine. But apparently they had quality issues where their knees didn't been quite right. And so people were annoyed already because of the inflated price of these 2-packs. But,
So it's
you
not
know, when it comes to the army builders, people, I it would have been more expensive if they'd done a 3-pack, but in that case, I feel like they should have done a 3-pack, 2 troopers and an officer, because buying multiples of that, you can't have as many officers as you have troopers. That's stupid. So, and then they followed that up with the Duke and Cobra Commander set, which was version 1 Duke and version 1 Cobra Commander. Now in the Sunbow color schemes, well, a lot of those vintage molds were questionable with the comic book color schemes that they did based on the Marvel comics. They really didn't work in my opinion. I don't think they looked as good in the cartoon colors. But like Duke had the smile, which is fine, but it's painted, which isn't, because it's a little creepy. Um, but I've seen criticisms, and I kind of agree, because they spend all this money to recreate a handful of O-Ring Joes because they want to make them Pulse exclusives.
Yeah.
And it all ties in with the Sky Striker they did, which also had some new release figures in there, and were also reconstructions of vintage of some of the vintage figures. But I think part of where it went wrong was I feel like they should have done another release or two that weren't just. I think they sort of stepped on a landmine with the Duke and Cobra Commander set. Because while I understand why they updated Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow first, because more often than not, even amongst casual fans, if you ask them about G.I. Joe, they're going to talk about Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, maybe, and Cobra Commander. But the fact is, for the third retro O-Ring set that were going to be overpriced, I don't think they needed to retread Duke and Cobra Commander. They didn't necessarily, because I saw some people say, well, they should have made stuff they never made in the vintage line. Maybe, but
That's what Super Seven's doing, and that's, as much as I don't like those 5 points of articulation figures, I got to give them props for making figures that have never had figures previously.
oh no, I mean, I totally agree with that. I've just seen people say they should have done that with the O-Ring line, but I think the only problem with that is
What do you pick?
right, and whatever they pick, even if it's for 1 2-pack or 2 2-packs, that's still 2 or 4 figures that are going to appeal to some people and not to others, which is how it goes because we all have different opinions.
Sure.
But at least if you take a more iconic characters, at least there's a better chance that they'll sell. I don't know that they did. I have no idea. But I feel like they could have done bigger characters without doing Duke and Cobra Commander again. Um, I I think they would have been better off if they'd done Roadblock versus Destro, maybe, and maybe pushed
Destro, I was going to say Destro and Baroness, but
or Destro and Baroness would have been great.
Baroness was tagged for the his tank.
And in fact, maybe Cobra Commander. Oh wait, no, that's right. He was in the Sky Striker. He was already with the vehicle. So see, you know what? Yeah, that's all the more reason they shouldn't have done the Duke and Cobra Commander 2-pack, because that was so 2 slots in the retro O-Ring line were taken up by Cobra Commander.
Oh, and we're losing the internet again. And it's time for us to call this an episode. So as the internet crashes here, I am going to say thanks for watching. Please do all that fun social media stuff, like, share, subscribe, comment below. and hopefully we'll have better internet connection for the next show when our guest will be Julian from France here in Colorado. So thanks for watching.